Okay, we're rolling. Hello, Klaus, and hello, Klaus's partner, who I don't know. This is the toupee you got me, Klaus, and I just thought you'd like to get another look at it. All kidding aside, what I thought I'd do is just explain the headquarters selection screen that I sent you. And I think we ought to have a quick phone call about it, because this is really a tool to help you pick your headquarters in the States. So I sent it to you. It's a spreadsheet, and I'll just go over these criteria very quickly. The first one is market questions, which is, are you near customers? And you'll see I weighted this from 0 to 10. So the weighting on are you near customers is a 3, and then you multiply it literally by your feeling. So if you're very near customers, we've weighted a 3, and you think you're really, really close and it's very good, you'd go +5 times 3, and you'd put in the yellow box the raw score of 15. And this way we can actually compare state to state and determine what the best place is, and we can have it somewhat objective so you can actually compare apples to apples. So each has a weight. The weight we can alter and change, but we may not have to. I'm just going to take a peek and make sure I'm showing up correctly. I am. So every once in a while I glance my eyes over to the computer screen. So are you near customers? Is there an expressed market need for more? And contacts, do you have those contacts? And that's the highest, that's a 10 weight. So you would take those and you do the calculations. Those are the market questions. Then I would have cultural questions. America is a very big and somewhat diverse place, and there are different kinds of cultures, and the more you need to try to understand that local culture, then obviously the lower the number. For example, if you were trying to sell to Louisiana Baptists, that really is a very different kind of culture than one you're accustomed to, and it would take a lot of understanding, and I would give that a -5, and if you look at the spreadsheet, it's -5 times the weight of 2, and in the yellow box I'd have a -10. So at the end we're going to take all the positives, subtract all the negatives, and get a raw score. Do you need a local language? There are 38.5 million Americans that speak Spanish, so if you go into certain markets you're going to have to be able to do this in Spanish. Are the management styles compatible? You're kind of a let's get things done, fast-moving guy, and that's not compatible with everywhere in the country. In the South, it's much slower. In the very, very Northeast, Vermont, New Hampshire, it's much slower. So you have to start to think, is my management style compatible? Then I go to market environment questions. Do I need a political understanding? And in some places in this country, it's very politically charged, and you have to know what's going on. So you score that one. The more you need that, the lower the number. Is the location accessible in the market environment? Do we need 2 planes to get there? Can you get there with 1 plane? I know one of the things you talked about earlier was going to Washington State because it was near the Vancouver office. So I would start to ask that question and say, is this someplace I can get to easily? I wrote, is the location interesting or easy to visit? And if you go to a place that's just terrible, you're just not going to want to go there. So that doesn't make or break the deal, but I put it as a 2 to keep people to avoid going. If you were in Elmira, New York, which is just an awful upstate New York kind of place, you'd find excuses, or your staff would, not to go visit there. So it's a lot different than going to a place like Chicago, which is a big city and it has fun things. Is the location accessible to other locations? So if you went to, say, Wisconsin, you may have to take 2 planes just to get around in the States. So I would, again, weight that. Then I have competitive questions. Is the market taken? Is it available? Can we answer the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and how? That's kind of a little sales joke, but of who the clients are. Am I able to do a competitive analysis? Again, I think of places like New Orleans, where everyone deals with John, and that's who they deal with, and they don't really know why, and it's hard to get data. Available talent pool. Are you near competitors so you can steal talent from them? Are you near universities so you can get talent? If you look at Western New Jersey, all the pharmaceutical companies are located there. That way, when you ask an executive to come to your company, they don't have to move their family and change schools and things like that. I ask about tax incentives, and these I weight all at 6. Is the state giving you tax incentives? Is the city giving you tax incentives? Are you getting any payroll incentives? Sometimes cities and states will actually say, we will pay a portion of your payroll. Are grant or loan monies available? And are there monies for capital improvement? For example, what if I have to build a road? Or what if I have to build a ramp? Or what if I have to build a dock? Is money available to help me do that? Is there leverage to other opportunities? And I put in-state and out-of-state. Now we're at number 40, line 42, 43, operational costs. The more you have to invest, the worse, obviously. Are you going to have to put a lot of money in to make things work? String phone service to you. Make sure the ground is environmentally capable. Make sure a road is paved. Obviously, the more that you have to do, the worse the score. More localization is more negative. So how much do you have to localize your product for the U.S. market? And do you have to do it in other parts? That goes back to the language thing, for example. If you're trying to sell something in Southern California, you better have it in Spanish and in English. If you go down to line 46, legal restrictions, licenses and permits. Is this process easy or hard? Imports, is it easy or hard to bring things in? Is there a percentage of local labor you're going to be required? How much local content in the product is needed? So you can see in the left column it says the more difficulty, the more negative, that type of thing. And it's listed down. Then I go to modification questions, line 54. How much modification of the product do I have to do? The less modifying, the higher the number. If it's plug and play, that's a good number and it's a high score, and you'd multiply that out. If I have to modify it to the market, that's different. So if you're going to a more humid market and maybe it's an outdoor kind of product and you have to protect it, you're going to have to modify. I'm sorry, that's the fun of navigating here. Service, how much you have to modify your service. And this can be something as you have to develop relationships because it takes longer in the South, or you have to be very businesslike in the Northeast, or you have to attend the right golf club or the right church or join the right clubs. How much of that do you have to do? And the more of your service you have to modify, obviously, the lower the number. Marketing. How do we have to modify our marketing? How we market, what our materials are, how we deliver. Is there any translation involved? Sales. Do we have to modify our sales methods, our sales timeline, or our sales transaction? For example, are we selling to a parish in Louisiana where everything gets approved by the church? Are we selling to the Mormons in Utah where everything gets approved by the church? And I know these are drastic examples, but these are the kinds of things to think about when you enter a market and say, okay, I'm coming in. Part of it is to get advantage of the U.S. stimulus, the U.S. labor, but the other part is to get advantage to the U.S. customers, and what do I have to do that? So I hope this helped, and I spoke very quickly because I didn't want a large video. I will upload this onto YouTube now, and I'll send you the link. Bye-bye. Oh, I do suggest we have a conference call soon.